So Kevin, thanks so much for hopping on and talking with me today. So how long have you been performing?
Performing live for 3 years.
Okay.
Uh, Doing online. I started doing online open mics 4 years ago, I guess, when COVID kind of canceled music everywhere. So, uh, yeah. So
Had you been performing before that, or is
no.
COVID what kind of prompted you to start performing?
Well, yeah, it's kind of a funny story, but I only started playing 5 years ago,
Okay.
and then a guy I worked with who was a professional drummer. I only started, I wanted to learn a few chords to play some songs for myself at home. I always
Mhm.
loved live music. I was always out seeing live music. That was how it all started. And then a musician I worked with who was a professional drummer for all his life, but he still, of course, had a day job, invited me over to play some jam with his band. And after we did that, they invited me to be a guitar player in another thing they were starting up. So I went home and started working on that, but then COVID hit, so all that went out the window.
Okay.
Uh, but then the thing was, so it was just going to be drums and two guitars, and I learned all the songs to the albums, but that doesn't work with just drums and two guitars. So
Mhm.
then I started recording the songs with new arrangements, and I was singing along with them, and then I started sending them to him, and we were watching these open mics. And then he said, "You need to go on those open mics and start performing because you're just as good as everybody on there." And I was like if 5 years ago you told me I'd sing a song, I would have fallen on the floor laughing. So he said, "Try it out." So then I started doing it, and then it just kind of progressed from there. And then once COVID ended, we started getting live gigs. So.
I love that. I love that you have a friend who encouraged you, and then you ventured out and you've tried something different, and it's paying off. So who were some of your musical influences?
You mean like from a famous person or personal life?
It could be both.
Well, famous wise, Waylon Jennings is definitely my most inspiration. To me, I think he's like the greatest there ever was. But and I love his guitar style and his sound. But all of those guys, Johnny, Waylon, Merle, Eddie Van Halen, Stevie Ray Vaughan, all of those guys I draw from. I play all of their songs, and then personally, yeah, if it wasn't for my drummer friend Sean, who plays with a fairly famous rock band in Barrie called the High Dives,
Mhm.
if it wasn't for him, I wouldn't have ever got anywhere down this path. So
Well,
he
that's great.
he pushed and guided me the whole way. So
That's
yeah,
fantastic. So shout out to Sean.
Sean Morrow, drummer of the High
Yeah.
Dive.
Yeah. So what does being a northerner help shape you as an artist?
I think so. I mean, I've always loved the North Country, and you know, strumming a guitar by the bonfire, or being outdoors and that sort of thing. Definitely would influence that a little bit. It's a slower pace, and
Mhm.
when I lived in the city and had a career and everything, like there was no chance of being a musician. There was no time. People say to me, "Why didn't you start this younger in life?" Well, I had 4 kids. I had a career. When was I gonna pick up a
Yeah.
guitar? So yeah, I'd say living up north definitely helps being a musician.
So you have the time now and you have the space and you're in a great environment to do that.
Yep.
Um, what is your opinion of a fantastic performance? As in, what makes you think when you've performed or when you're walking off stage or wherever, you just think, wow, I nailed that, or the audience really connected? What?
Well, I mean, we as musicians, we all have on days and off days, and some days we think, "Oh man, that was horrible," but really what other people heard wasn't that bad. But for me, it's the audience interaction and how things go. If I can get the audience involved and they like what they're hearing, and excuse me, I'm sorry.
You're okay. We can edit that out.
Okay, perfect. Because something just, I was singing all morning, maybe too much. Yeah, when the audience gets into it and when you find, what they like, it's, I tend to start out my shows and I'll play a song from each different artist I cover and my own and different genres to see what the group kind of wants, what they're feeling. Because sometimes they're really into Johnny Cash and Waylon Jennings, and other times they're really into me playing Chuck Berry and Georgia Satellites and Stevie Ray Vaughan, and I'll kind of modify my set once I kind of see what gets everybody moving along and stuff. And but when I get the audience interacting, that's just the best thing as an artist. I played a show in I think it was Port Carling there in August, and I couldn't believe it. I ended up with this huge amount of people. It was outdoors, watching me and bringing me food and drinks and money, and just they never left. Like, they were there, just this huge crowd, and it was like the best feeling ever. And it was just, that's, I think, when you go out to perform, that's what you want, the audience to like your stuff. And I'm still learning. I'm a newbie, and each time I add more stuff, but yeah, and then I was doing a whole bunch of, I kind of split my show up a little while ago. I used to started out doing acoustic guitar and singing and stuff, but as I was booking more shows and longer, I thought to myself, I got to spice this up, because even I get somebody just sitting there with a guitar strumming and singing for 3 hours gets boring. I get bored. So I started splitting my show, where now I use half the show I play electric guitar, Telecaster, and I've added in a drum track so that I can spice up the show a little bit. And I was doing all these Waylon Jennings tunes and Joe Bonamassa, and all these young people were singing along and bopping along. And when I finished, I said to them, I'm surprised all of you know these songs. They're like, oh, we've never heard any of these songs before, but this is great. And they're all singing when I'm done. And I'm like, wow, like that's, I've introduced these old artists to this new generation by me playing the songs. And,
that's great.
Because most of them have never even heard of Johnny Cash or Waylon Jennings.
That's
These
crazy.
are all 20-somethings, right? And I'm like, it's just, that's to me the best of everything. Like,
you're doing your part to introduce them.
So,
good job.
Yeah.
So, what do you think is going to be the best part about being part of the Northern Arts Festival?
Oh, I think I'm really looking forward to meeting a whole bunch of new musicians and bringing my music to a whole new, crowd, or whoever's watching, and my different genres and things that I do, and just being involved in the whole thing. Like, I just love playing music and now playing live, and that's why I do it.
It's great. Well, we're so happy that you're going to be part of the festival, and so thank you for being part of Sudbury Performance Group's Northern Arts Festival. We're really looking forward to seeing what you're going to bring to it.
Well, thank you for having me. I'm really looking forward to it.
Yeah. Well, it was really nice to meet you, Kevin. And you have a good rest of your day.
You too. Thank you, Amy.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye.